Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to lefties losing it. Let's start, lefties, with some unintentional laughs courtesy of rock legend Bruce Springsteen. No, this is not Pink or Tilda Swinton. It is actually The Boss. And like all out-of-touch celebs, he has a message for America. I just hope his shirt is buttoned up here.
I'm supporting Kamala Harris for president and Tim Walz for vice president and opposing Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Now, I'm sure old mate Bruce, given his advanced years, will not resort to hysteria and hyperbole to scare the American public about a second Trump term. Surely he is better than that. Sadly, not.
Donald Trump is the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. His disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution, the sanctity of democracy, the sanctity of the rule of law, and the sanctity of the peaceful transfer of power should disqualify him from the office of president ever again. He doesn't understand the meaning of this country, its history, or what it means to be deeply American. On the other hand, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are committed to a vision of this country that respects and includes everyone.
Yes, everyone, particularly the more than 10 million illegal immigrants they've let into the country, and they want to fast track to citizenship. If you believe Bruce's crazy rant, then you probably think that Kamala Harris had nothing to do with the past 3.5 years of the Biden-Harris administration. But thankfully, President Joe Biden, remember him, made sure to remind the American public that she owns every failure. She was critical to all the key decisions that were made.
Well, I'm in constant contact with her. She's aware we're singing from the same song sheet. She helped pass all the laws that are being employed now. She was a major player in everything we've done, including passage of legislation which we were told we could never pass. And so she's been, and her staff is interlocked with mine in terms of all the things we're doing.
Thank you, President Biden. It's worth noting that he blindsided the Harris campaign by going into the White House briefing room to deliver those remarks. And it's the first time in his presidency that he's done that. So I think we know what he's thinking right now. Now, let's have some laughs. And I've got to say the Saturday Night Live crew have been bringing the laughs lately, and their parody of the vice presidential debate had some golden moments. This is champagne comedy.
Governor Walz, you claimed you were in Hong Kong during the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre when you were home in Minnesota. Can you explain that?
So I think what happened is I went to Epcot. You can go around the whole world, and I had a couple in the Germany section, and I thought I went to China. Anyway, I'm a knucklehead.
And spare a thought for Kamala and Doug watching the debate at home.
Okay, he's out there. He's doing his thing, whatever that may be.
Come on, just relax. You know, you haven't had a night off in 3 months. Do you want to watch something less stressful like the Menendez Brothers show?
I don't know, Dougie. I kind of wish I had picked Josh right now.
Oh, Josh Shapiro?
No, Josh. Cabernet.
Look, Tim will be fine. It's not like he's going to say something crazy.
I've become friends with school shooters.
You know what this skit needs is some Joe Biden, and Dana Carvey's Biden is very good indeed.
Why are they friends? Why are they vibing?
Hey, Mama, it's Joe Biden.
I can't talk right now. Tell him I'm not here.
No, like he's in the room.
Oh.
You're not here. I'll come back
No,
later.
no, Joe. Joe Biden, come in. Have a seat. It's nice and dry.
You've been watching this guy? Come on, Walz. What's wrong with that guy? He's crazy. Get your facts straight, Jack. You gotta hit him with a no joke. Here's the deal. Let me be clear. Anyway, guess what? And by the way...
Now, the real Kamala has been missing in action for most of the week as parts of the US were plunged into crisis in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, which has left more than 200 dead, many more missing, and parts of the country looking like a war zone. But the VP had other things on her mind, like doing a podcast with the Call Her Daddy team. Oh, you don't know who they are? Let me familiarise you with their work, and apologies in advance for the content here.
How do you work with the and the
okay,
on
so
a man?
The it really depends on the guy. Like, some guys don't like it.
Yeah.
Some have and you can on them.
Yes.
Put them all.
Yeah.
Like, some
Other guys are like,
yeah, whenever you
Yeah.
try to do it.
That's all we could play you. That's all we could play you because it was that filthy. That's who Kamala Harris wants to talk to, putting decency back in the White House, folks. Let's look at some of that chat. Mercifully, it wasn't as graphic as what we just played you. In fact, the whole thing seemed to be about, I don't know, the patriarchy and obsessions about abortion.
I want to take a moment, and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision?
I know what you're going to ask.
About a man's body. Let's just pause.
No.
Is there any law?
No. It's no.
Yeah, except the millions of men who've been drafted into war, forced to put their body on the line for their country. Did they forget about that? Let's now hear from White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre claiming that FEMA funds desperately needed for Hurricane Helene victims right now weren't diverted to illegal immigrants at any point. She categorically denied that. She said it was categorically false, only it's not. Let's go to the tape.
It's just categorically false. It is not true. It is a false statement. No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants. Funding is also available through FEMA's Emergency Food and Shelter Program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants.
And we can't go too long on this program without some input from the ladies of The View. Here is some awful advice from Joy Behar. Not just awful, but full of lies.
I would say to those Republicans out there who are sitting on the fence, just do it this one time. Do it this one time. Vote for the Democrat to save the country. Listen to Liz Cheney. When everything goes back to normal, then become a Republican again, like Alyssa will become, and probably Al.
Listen to Liz Cheney. That's their big sell. So Joy wants Republicans to not back Trump, not back their man in the most consequential election of their lifetime. And she promises that it'll all be back to normal after this, that they won't go on these unhinged attacks against future Republican candidates. Only I'm old enough to remember when they called milquetoast Mitt Romney a racist, sexist monster. They did the same with Rhino John McCain. They've been doing the same with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and you know they're going to double down when he's the presidential candidate. So thanks for the advice, Joy, but I reckon Republicans are not going to let unhinged far-left fried bats pick their candidates for them. As for listening to Liz Cheney, a reminder that Republicans dumped her, and comprehensively, as you can see there. She's about as popular with Republicans as an Antifa activist. Now to a woman who may even be too crazy for The View, and that's saying something. Here is Democrat strategist Aisha Mills resorting to dangerous lies about President Trump. And despite 2 assassination attempts in 2 months against Donald Trump, CNN saw fit to put this dangerous lefty spouting reckless lies on television.
We have long known that Donald Trump has revered the Nazis. He has revered Hitler. He's read his book. He used to say he had it on his nightstand.
Say what now? Donald Trump reveres Hitler? He said he has Hitler's book on his nightstand. Trump has never said anything like that. He has, in fact, said he's never even read Hitler's book. And let's not forget, Trump is the most pro-Jewish, most pro-Israel president America has ever had. His own daughter is Jewish, as are several of his grandchildren. But let's go back to CNN and listen to this woman spew more unhinged lies unchallenged.
Donald Trump has had a very sinister philosophy, wanting to be a dictator, absolutely dividing people up based on who they are, based on factors about them that have to do with their race and their gender, etc. And when he uses language like this, I don't think that it's a Freudian slip. I think that the danger of a Donald Trump is that he would absolutely try to exterminate an entire group of people because he thinks that their genes are somehow different than his and faulty. And I say this with all the sternness that you hear in my voice.
Exterminate a whole group of people. That was on CNN, folks. Lost for words. Now, since we're dealing with bold-faced lies, let's hear from Kamala herself and listen to how she flounders when there is the slightest bit of pushback.
The question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
Say what now? Teachers are paying higher tax rates than the super rich? Really? I know this type of simplistic class warfare speaks to the low information voters that the Democrats count on, but the reality is that the rich pay, obviously, a lot more tax. The top 1%, in fact, pay over 45% of all income tax. And the top 5% pay 65.6% of all income tax collected. That's from the 2021 IRS data, so I'm sure they know what they're talking about. Imagine how Kamala would go in a hostile interview. She can't even cope at her own rally when the teleprompter appears to malfunction momentarily.
We got 32 days until the election. So 32 days. 32 days. Okay, we got some business to do. We got some business to do. All right. 32 days. And we know we will do it.
Amazing stuff from her. Far worse than what we saw from Selena Meyer when she faced a similar conundrum.
My fellow Americans, I'd like to begin today whatever we have in store cannot be known. But given time, it can be understood. The past was once the future. The future is, I should say, unknown.
Now, the Veep, the real one, did go to the Call Her Daddy podcast, incredibly, where she faced idiotic softball questions, lots of misinformation about abortion. There wasn't much else there. But when she was asked about why she should be trusted, she had this to say.
Why should we trust you?
So I'll say this. Look, you can look at my career to know what I care about.
Okay, let's do just that. Here is a little of Kamala Harris telling us what she's all about.
You know, for far too long, the status quo thinking has been to believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Somebody said that, and it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage. But
yeah, well, actually, the nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator. You supported the Green New Deal. You supported Medicare for all.
And yeah, I am radical. If they fail to act as president of the United States, I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. I am supporting the Green New Deal.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
The idea that we would have a president of the United States that vilifies immigrants, that wants to build what I call his vanity project, a multi-billion-dollar wall, which, by the way, will never get built. Because we have a president of the United States who has created a fiction about a crisis at the border around his vanity project called a wall. We don't need to build a wall.
And by definition, just plain speak, basic English language definition, it is not an emergency. It's about a vanity project for this president. That wall ain't gonna stop them.
I think I understand now why someone went to the trouble of writing this book called The Achievements of Kamala Harris. Wait for it.
In less time at Walmart. We're here for you 24/7 at all times across all stores.
You're kidding me.
Let's hear now from a man who says he has gone from being a lifelong Democrat to voting for Donald Trump. Let's hear why.
Bradley, tell us why you're making the change from the Democrat ticket to President Trump.
Mr. Trump stated, I'm going to build a wall because I want the people that live here to eat first. Since this new administration has come to the table, my children are lacking. My community is lacking. I see abandoned properties, folks laying on the street. And forgive me, why do we feed folk when we have folks who went overseas, hung, bled, and died in the service of this country, and they're laying on the streets? That's unacceptable.
Absolutely.
If you can house an immigrant, with all due respect, house my children first. These are the people that fought for us. They're laying on the street. They can't get medical assistance because you've given it to someone else. They closed down schools. They opened the schools to put migrants in. You can open a school and put my veterans in there.
Amen.
You can open a school and put my homeless children in there. But yet you refuse to feed those that state that they are here.
Right.
They've been here. You've overlooked us.
And a reminder, you don't hate the leftist media enough. You think you do, but then they go and pull something like this. Here is ABC deliberately and deceptively editing a clip that turns Kamala Harris from weak and incoherent to strong and decisive. Watch the original clip that they posted that was widely mocked, followed by the version that went to air on Monday night. See if you can spot the not-so-subtle difference.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
That second part wasn't even in the first answer. Where did they find that? Goodness me. Now, soon I'll be bringing you Kamala's top 6 worst moments from The View today. But first, let's go to this character again. This time he's boasting about making his colleagues feel uncomfortable in various eateries.
My job involves multiple work sites, and that sometimes means I'm with other colleagues and we leave one place and walk to another, and we'll stop at a bodega or a coffee shop along the way. This has happened several times, which is why I'm sharing this. We're in the coffee shop, I'm ordering my drink. Oh, here's your change, ma'am. Oh, ma'am, here's your coffee, your order's ready, miss. Y'all, the discomfort my colleagues experience seeing me out in the world being treated as a woman is hilarious and also deeply sad. Talking visibly uncomfortable, crawling out of their skin.
To the lefty heartland of California, the one-party state where Democrats dominate. If you want to see what the Democrats' vision for America is, then just have a look at California. It's going really well there. Have a look at what they call street takeovers, which are essentially wild mobs going on crime sprees with little fear of arrest or consequences. Watch what happened on Sunday when a lone 7-Eleven worker tried to protect his store. Sadly, he can't hold the mob at bay for too long. He gave it a red-hot go, but in the end, the mob wins. Let's check in on former MSNBC host Keith Olbermann. He calls on Biden to deport US citizen Elon Musk. This is really sane and normal.
Time to cancel all the contracts and reassess his immigration status and hopefully deport him the hell out of the country. And if we can't do that by conventional means, President Biden, you have presidential immunity. Get Elon Musk the out of our country and do it now.
Now to a male teacher who is upset that only one of his students has noticed or commented on his boobies. Here is another ad for homeschooling.
One of my students, a teenager, was ranting to me about how it's so easy for her to notice. How come no one else has noticed? She's kind of got a point. And like, I'm not actively hiding purple curly hair, cat's eye glasses in the classroom, painted nails all the time, bracelets. I wear skinny jeans. How did people not notice? How have they not noticed B cups yet?
Here's another reminder that you don't hate the leftist media enough. You think you do, but then you see this.
So the laughable Donald Trump took a bullet for democracy versus a president who wants to put the country first.
And don't Antifa always live up to the opposite of their name? They're supposed to be anti-fascists, but they are the fascists. And here is one of their Canadian activists proudly proclaiming that, yes, they celebrate the barbarity of October 7.
And so we see the fascist newspaper saying we are here to celebrate the 7th of October. Well, yes, we are here to celebrate the 7th of October.
As a wise woman once said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Now, have you noticed how none of the Free Palestine protesters ever chant against Hamas, against the atrocities of October 7? Could it be that some of them agree with the barbarity that was unleashed? Let's see what happens when a Jewish documentary filmmaker dons a keffiyeh and goes undercover at a rally.
Do you think that October 7th was too much?
No, we're going that way.
Justified?
It was justified. Everything. So October 7th is 100% justified, and we have to do more October 7th.
Do you think October 7th actually was the Israeli government killing its own people to justify the invasion of Gaza?
Absolutely. Because it's a huge campaign and they need an excuse.
Yep, that's Armie Horowitz, and it seems that in their own leftist circles, these activists freely admit to believing Israel was behind the October 7 attack.
The Israelis actually did it as a false flag operation.
That's what I think. Yeah, I think a lot of it was self-inflicted. Yeah,
on purpose.
On purpose. Yeah.
That they killed their own people. That Israel killed their own people to justify the Gaza invasion.
Yes.
Do you think that October 7th was actually committed by Israel?
So yeah, Hamas doesn't have the kind of military weapons that would have incinerated houses and, the kind of destruction. They don't have that kind of sophisticated weaponry. So it is most definitely Israel that did it, So there's no denying that.
And you may have heard about the White Dudes for Kamala group. They're typically described as weak, COVID-crazy soy boy losers, but that sort of characterisation is deeply unfair. Just look at this strapping young man charging like a buck-wild bull at a Trump supporter.
Oh! Hey! You stay away from him! I will hurt you! You better watch out!
You can tell which ones are Kamala fans. They're the ones wearing masks outdoors in 2024. And they're the ones screaming abuse and threats.
You were talking about my boy! You were talking about my boy! I will slap the goddamn taste out of you! No violence! Joe Biden's no president! No violence! No violence! No violence! I feel that way! No violence! Let me tell you something, you 40 you're retroactive!
She seems nice. If she doesn't want her boy manhandled, then perhaps tell him not to attack folks. Pretty simple, I would have thought. Now, CNN might be chock full of lefties losing it, but sometimes they have a lone conservative up against the crazy libs, and often that lone conservative is Scott Jennings, and God bless him, he just keeps recording W's.
This is what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believes, is that it's none of your business what women do with their body. And so stay out of our doctor's offices and stay out of our bedrooms.
Well, I guess I have to speak up for the babies. They're not here to speak for themselves. Lord have mercy.
Now, Kamala has been doing interviews with lefties all week, from the Call Her Daddy podcast to Stephen Colbert to the truly vile Howard Stern, who is apparently a male feminist nowadays.
Do you think there are people who will not vote for a woman because she's a woman? You know, my best associations in radio and in business have been collaborating with women.
Yeah.
And I don't understand this philosophy, especially guys who have daughters and sisters and mothers.
This is the same Howard Stern who fantasized about sexually assaulting school shooting victims and sexualized the Olsen twins when they were just 13 years old.
There was like really good-looking girls running out of there with their hands over their heads.
Yeah, I say the bomb teams are still working.
Did those kids try to have sex with any of the good-looking girls? They didn't even do that. At least if you're going to go kill yourself and kill all the kids, like, why wouldn't you have some sex?
And then I said, oh, get the Olsen twins, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen.
What are they up to?
Well, those are the two kids from Full House. Remember the two little girls from Full House?
Sure.
Well, now they're like 13, and they're pieces of ass.
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't just vile about women and children, he also thought this was funny.
Hey, Robin, what does you call a black rocket scientist?
I don't know.
But you know, anything can be forgiven and forgotten if you become a rabid anti-Trumper. Here's Howard Stern talking about how much he hates Trump voters.
I don't hate the guy. I hate the people who vote for him. I think they're stupid. I do. I'll be honest with you. I have no respect for you.
That's it from me. I'll see you Sunday morning for Outsiders. Good night.